Hey everyone, welcome to today's video, this idea of differences of fractions. We've been talking about the sums of fractions. Today we're going to talk about the differences of them. So let's go ahead and do that. Remember, if we're talking differences, we are talking about the usage of subtraction. So it's this idea that we are subtracting, oh boy, we are subtracting fractions. And again, fractions, remember that those are the parts or the equal parts, or as we're starting to realize this idea of a unit fraction, we'll talk about that, the unit fraction, and how we can make a composition or decompose and break apart numbers into these unit fractions. So let's kind of dive in. We've been talking about how to add fractions. We're going to be honest with you. Not much different with subtraction, except for you are subtracting them. So let's go ahead and again, talk about that idea of a unit fraction and what that means. Right? So remember, the unit fraction, that is each part that makes a whole. So I might even start with a model of some sort and take that model and cut it into so many pieces, right? And that's going to be the denominator. That's the denominator, the bottom number that tells us all, tells the total, we'll say, or all of it. And again, that's the denominator. Okay, so I don't know, that's just, I don't know, I'll just cut this up for now. Let's go here. Let's do it this way. Okay, so we have these equal pieces. And as we can see with our equal pieces, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? So that's my denominators, each piece. Now, a unit fraction, the unit fraction itself is the one piece. That's a unit fraction, right? This is worth 1/8. This is also worth 1/8. These are all unit fractions. So the unit fraction refers to the one single piece that has a numerator of 1 and then the denominator of the total. So in this case, our unit fraction is 1/8. Now, when we put them all together, that makes 8 out of 8, right? When we put them all together, you get 8 out of 8. And when you get 8 out of 8, you get 1, because that's what we have. If we were to have all these pieces, we would have one whole rectangle filled. So that would be 1. So we'll talk about that in another video, about this idea of fractions that are equivalent to 1 and what they look like. And as long as you have all of your pieces, as long as you have all of your unit fractions, then you're going to have your whole. But let's talk about this idea of decomposing a fraction. So we're going to go back to this 8 here, this 8 out of 8. Okay, so let's take a look at another page. I'll draw it real quick so we see it. So again, remember with 8s, you go middle, and then the middles of the middles, that makes 4. And then if you cut 4 in half, you get 8, right? That idea of like kind of like doubling it. And again, each unit fraction. So the unit fraction is equal to 1 out of 8. But when we put all of these together, we get 8 out of 8, right? When you get them all, you have 8 out of 8. So the whole, right, or the total of all of it would be 8 out of 8. That's the whole. Okay, now, so let's talk about like this decomposing. If we think about this model up here, we could break apart this model in any way we desire. So like I might just take these first, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. So that would mean I would have 4/8. And if I added that to what's, let's do like 3. We can break it into 3 different parts. So let's take these 3 right here, or I mean these 2, right? So 1, 2, so plus another 2/8, plus what's left over, we'll make that pink, So what's left over here is 1 2/8. And when we put all those together, we get 8 out of 8, right? That's that idea that I took 8 out of 8 and I broke it into 3 different sections. But then it goes back the other way where we realize, again, if we are adding these fractions, that denominator stays the same. There's nothing different going on here. And then we add up our numerators, which makes sense again, because 2 pieces, 1, 2, plus 2 pieces, 1, 2, plus 4 pieces, 1, 2, 3, 4, equal all of it, right? I put it all back together. It's like a puzzle that had 8 pieces. I put it together using 4 pieces, then I found 2 more pieces, then I found 2 more pieces. Now my puzzle is complete. So these unit fractions are like the pieces to the puzzle, okay? So let's think about that idea of like how then we could subtract fractions. Same idea around a unit fraction. Let's say, let's work with sixes. So let's say I have 5/6 and I'm going to subtract 2/6. Okay, well, if we want to think about that in a modeling standpoint, like a model of things, draw my unit, my big unit, my major unit, and I'm going to cut it into 6 pieces because that's what the denominator says in both of my fractions. That's always key. Pay attention to that denominator with both fractions. Now to make 6, you want to go with thirds. So you make thirds first, which again, remember, to make a third, it's like a little bit past half and a little bit before the half, right? So I kind of like to think about it that way. So that makes thirds. And then what we do is we just take the middle of each third. So, ooh, yeah, still glitchy. Okay, boom, boom, boom. Now we have 6 pieces. And remember, each one of these is a unit fraction. This is 1 out of 6. This is also 1 out of 6. This is 1 out of 6. This is also 1 out of 6. This is also 1 out of 6. This is also 1 out of 6. But when we put them together, that's where we get the other pieces. So according to this, I need 5, right? So if I need 5 of them, I'm going to do that. I'm just going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's how many I have. So that's 5, 6. And then in this case, we're going to subtract. So we're not going to shade in anymore. We're actually going to take away. We're going to take them away. So we want to look at this. Oh, no, we don't want to look at that disappear. We want to actually write on it. We want to look at this, that we're taking away 2 of those 6s. So I'm actually going to do it this way, 1, 2. And what that leaves us with is this chunk here, which leaves us with 3 6s. And you can see, again, following that pattern, notice the denominator, it stays the same, because that's true. Like the size, the number of pieces it's not changed, right? I'm not changing the number of pieces that made the whole. That will never change. And then we look at our numerator and we just say, okay, I have 5 and we have 5 pieces. We're going to take 2 pieces away and that gets me 3 out of 6. Okay, so that's subtraction of fractions. Let's just do another one to play around with it and make some sense. Let's see, we did 6s, we did 8s. I guess 4s, why not? So, right, I have 3/4 and I take away, let's say 2/4. Okay, well, here we are, right? We know right away, right? I'll model this, but we know right away when doing this kind of work, the denominator stays the same. And then I just subtract what's upstairs, which is 3 minus 2, it gets me 1. So 1 out of 4 is my answer, but let's of course model that so we can take a look at how that comes about. So I'm going to start by taking and making my model, hopefully making a line thicker. Oh boy. All right, let's try this again. There we go. Okay, so make my model, right? And again, according to the denominators, wow, that's a new one. According to the denominators, it's 4 pieces. So to make 4, I'm gonna go middle and then middle, middle. So there's 4 pieces. And remember, each one of these has a unit fraction of 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4. And when I put all those together again, I'd get 4 out of 4, or all of it. But I don't have all of it, right? I actually have 3 out of 4. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that shading for 3 out of 4. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, so there's 3 out of 4. 3/4. And what we're going to do is we're subtracting. So we're going to cross out 2 out of 4. So I'll just go shading the other way. 1, 2. So those are gone. And what's left is this 1/4 right here. Now notice we never use this one. That's why it's not a part of anything. It never got shaded. It got never taken away. Nothing, right? So that's why that's still there. Keep that in mind. But no, our answer right here is what's left over in blue. Left over in blue is the 1 out of 4. Okay, so quickly, we think of that process again. Subtracting fractions would look like that idea that if I had, man, this has got to get fixed. If I had 6/10 and I subtract 3/10, again, denominator stays the same. 6 minus 3 is 3. My answer is 3/10. If I had 7/25 and I'm subtracting 1/25, again, denominator stays the same. 7 minus 1 equals 6. So that's our whole key to the subtraction of fractions, just like adding fractions, right? Denominators never change as long as they're the same. Keep that in mind. As long as they're the same, we can do this great trick with it, where really we're just taking how many pieces we have. So like in this case, we had 7, and then we subtract 1, and we're left with 6 pieces of the 25, right? I took something, I cut it into 25 pieces. I had 7 of them. I took 1 away. Now I only have 6 of the 25. So I have some work to do if I want to get all the pieces. Okay, so I hope that makes some sense and works things out. And if not, again, always ask questions, right? That's what we are always pushing for. You not understanding something has nothing to do with anything, but we haven't found a good way to explain it to you. So if you're still confused, hold us accountable, call us out and say, hey, I need to see this another way so we can show it to you so it'll start to make sense. As always, I appreciate your hard work and we will see you next time.